Well, for a little bit last week, I was thinking I lived in a different climate, and I'm now reminded that I still live in Ohio based on the 70 degrees, rainy, can hardly get enough light in here to create a video. Oh, oy vey, where did our nice sun go? Apparently, the weatherman knew that we needed to have some time to write papers this week instead of being out in the sunshine or being tempted to be there, right? Okay, so this week we are finishing up our final project. A couple reminders as you go into this paper is that first of all, it's due Wednesday at midnight. That is so that I can get them graded and get them back to you by the deadline that the college sets for me to get my grades in. Okay, this would be also, speaking of grades, a good week to make sure that, I know some of you turned in work like by email because you were late or because you forgot something. If there's be a good time to go back through your grade book and make sure that you have everything accounted for. Don't just think, oh, I bet she's not giving me credit for that because I turned it in late. I don't roll that way. I know that I come on strong with, hey, if it's not there, it's a 0. But if you send something to me, I make exceptions, okay? So if you haven't seen a grade show up, the other thing that sometimes happens is there's a button next to the save and release to student. There's a button that says save grade or something like that, and so it doesn't release it to you, and I mean to release them to you. I just sometimes hit the wrong button. In fact, the one that glows is the one I don't want, and so it's a little bit awkward for me sometimes, and when I'm getting going, I will sometimes hit the wrong thing. So the other thing to watch for is if I give you, let's say you end up with like a 2 on an assignment, and you're like, wow, I must have really done bad on that 25-point assignment. She only gave me 2 points. You know how keys sometimes stick, or you fat finger something? There's a chance that I just didn't press the 5 because I don't give 2s on assignments. So if you're look for things like that, if you could do that individually, that really helps me out to make sure that I have an accurate grade for you. I'm obviously on the lookout for those things, and I try to be very careful. But when I have so many fields of documentation that I'm looking at, I can sometimes miss things, and I have before. So definitely check on that and send me an email if you want me to look at something, and I won't be offended because I have some students like, I hope this doesn't offend you that I'm asking you about my grade, but no, it's your grade. This is what this is your payment, so to speak, for this course besides the credits. Okay, so finishing up the paper. A lot of people ask, the final feedback form is a little bit different than the normal feedback form. It's kind of feedback for the class. It really helps me. I've used a lot of the information on that to fuel what I do for future classes, so I appreciate your feedback. The feedback form is something that I do. It's not a college thing. So when you go to turn your paper into your e-portfolio, which is a requirement from the college for this paper, you don't need, you want to take that feedback form off first. If you want to wait until I give you feedback on the final paper, that's fine if you plan on doing some editing afterwards, or you can just send it right on. And instructions for your e-portfolio are on your student platform on the computer that'll tell you how to do that, how to submit that. Some of you've asked, do I have to do it if I'm not getting a degree from the college? I think that it's for degree earning students, but sometimes I think if in doubt, send it out. It's not a big process. It's pretty simple from what I've heard. Trying to think of any other details. Just a couple little things to review. Make sure your paper is clearly persuasive or problem solving from the thesis on. Your thesis statement should include a nod to your naysayer or to the biggest voice of dissension so that we know that it's clearly argumentative. Or it should include the problem with the solution, not just the solution. You want to make sure that every paragraph has some citations in it, and you're not just citing things that you directly quote. Any information that is gleaned from your resources is something you could possibly cite or should cite. All the citation questions you've been sending me are great. I always answer you by sending you to a page in the Erin textbook. So that's a good resource to look. If you don't have your textbook with you, take a visit to the Purdue OWL, OWL Online Writing Lab website. Just a really good resource for all things MLA. And finally, consider breaking down your points into multiple paragraphs for this length of a paper. I often have students at this point in the game say, uh-oh, I'm about a page short. Go back through your paper and make sure that you're illustrating. Make sure you're using meta commentary, commenting about what you're commenting about. Make sure that your details and your ideas and your argument is watertight. There's no place to question it. And if you think there's a remote possibility of questioning, fill that question in. In fact, ask the question and answer it. Um, when I'm reading a book right now for some research that I'm doing, and I noticed there's quite a bit of repetition. And at first, my first gut was, oh, maybe they're just trying to fill space. But to be very honest, when we're talking about something very detailed, a reader needs some of that repetition. So don't be too scared to purposefully repeat or double back and say, just as we talked about at the beginning of the paper. You don't have to use those words, but you can kind of double back on yourself and do some repetition that is purposeful and mindful of your end cause, which is to persuade or propose a solution that ultimately you're trying to persuade someone to adopt. It's been great working with you. I was just telling somebody the other week, I have 2 fabulous sections of students this year, this summer. You've been so self-actualized and so eager to do well, and I've seen some great writing. I'm seriously very excited about this class. So thank you for making my summer enjoyable in teaching you, and I hope that you feel like you have made progress as a writer, and if nothing else, progress towards the degree that you are aiming for. Have a great rest of the summer, and we'll be in touch with you this week. Bye-bye.